Good evening, everybody, and a belated Happy New Year. Welcome to round one of our 1991 F1 Championship, coming to you from downtown Phoenix, Arizona. I am Jason White. I'll be your play-by-play announcer. Always fun to start a new series with new physics, new driver and car combinations. Anything is possible at this point. And what everyone really feels in the car not only is excitement, but optimism. Because it's a clean slate, no points have been scored. It really is down to just starting from zero. And that's what I think makes round one of any championship so exciting. You're just starting from a level playing field as far as points go. So hopefully our drivers today will bring you an excellent race on YouTube. So here we are at the first track for the series. It's a rather unique track. It is a street circuit, but it's unique in some very specific ways. After the Formula One circuit left Detroit in 1988, the United States Grand Prix was moved to Phoenix, Arizona. That's far out west. They conducted 3 World Championship races here from 89 to 91. And although it is a track admittedly replete with right-angle bends, it's far from your typical street circuit in terms of width. It's a lot wider on these long straights, which makes passing a bit easier. It's all a little bit reminiscent of Adelaide in that way. It's got wide sections, so it makes it a little easier. Also, there are 2 long straights here, which make it appear as if it's easier to set up a pass. So it'll be interesting to see how our drivers tackle this circuit. The other thing about street circuits like this is that they kind of put the drivers in an equalized position as far as the competition goes. So with that in mind, it's probably going to be a situation of the best driver winning today versus the best car. At least that's my speculation. Admittedly, pure speculation at this point, but we'll see what happens. Let's go back to the track here for a minute and take a look at some of what's going on. Here's John Team and Mark Whitman having at it. We're going to be showing new driver and new car combinations, as I mentioned before, so everybody's going to have to learn along with us as we learn these new combinations. It's going to take a bit, but we'll get there. As you see, Team coming down the long straight here. Again, the Phoenix circuit only lasted 3 years, so it was there and then it was gone. If you blinked, you missed it. All right, so seen as Team is coming across the start-finish line here, let's go for a lap of the Phoenix Street Circuit. This is the long straight that he's taking that leads him into the first right-hander. Uh-oh, something. Yep. See, that's the problem here at this circuit and many other street circuits, frankly. You can't see around the corner because of the tall concrete walls. Practically every turn, and the most, as we said, our right-angle turns in this circuit, are blocked from view by these concrete walls. And you can see how the advertisements actually go even higher above the turns. Now here's one of the few turns that's open that you can see around. It's a kind of a loop at the end of the track that leads you back onto a short straight. This is one of the parts of the track that's actually kind of organic. You go to the right, it's kind of a flick, and then you flick back to the left. Whoa, yellow flags in this area. Be careful, be careful. And now you head down another straightaway. Another right-hander here. This is, of course, a downtown street circuit, so you got a lot of tall buildings. Not the best for TV back in the day. And John Team's taking his late house into another left-right section here. You don't really even have to shift here. It's just a matter of taking the car through these corners. Now through the last series here. And there you go. That is one lap of Phoenix. May as well go for another lap. A lot of cars on the left here as John Team goes into the corner. Let's take a look at it from the outside this time as he heads into the first turn. Now he's heading into the third turn there. You see he's got several cars he's going to have to deal with here in a second. You can see here, this is one of the few parts of the circuit that's actually open. John now pursuing Peter Hlavich in his footwork Porsche, excuse me. And now down another long straightaway here. It's going to be hard to tell the start-finish straight from the other long straight. You'll have to look for the painted lines on the circuit and the green light to give you an idea of what straight they're on, because it's easy to mistake one for the other. But you can see the width on this circuit, which is very unusual for street circuits like this. Oh, I have a request for a T-cam. Okay, fine. How's that? Here's a T-cam looking from the roll bar of John Team's cars. They head on to the straight again. Now heading down into the first turn. Lots of shadows here being cast by buildings, which can be disorienting. Into the first turn. Second turn is one back to the left. Oh, he's pulling a Jean Alesi here on Hlavich and gets around him on the left-hand side. Those of you who, it's one of those anecdotes where if you know, you know. The left-hander, and right here you can, no real need to shift through here because you're just going between turns. It's kind of similar to Adelaide in that way. Uh-oh, yellow flag coming up here. This is the one part of the course that's open, that you can look around. John Team now heading into the section that has like a flick left and a flick right and a flick left. Yellow flags and parts of cars. I would expect that this race is going to have a high attrition rate, and we'll talk about things with the cars that we have to be concerned about. 10 minutes to go in this warm-up session, so plenty of time to address it. Now downshifting for a right-hander at the end of the second long straight. Veers to the right to get the right angle into the next left-hander. A little bit more space here before he gets to the next left-hander. Now back to the right. And then here's this final section here, which is kind of a pointed section, but John is actually heading for the pits right now. So those are a couple laps there. Or no, he's not. I thought he was heading for the pits, but he's not. It looks like it is in there, but it's not in this case. So here he comes back down the straight. So let's take a look at some vital stats for this series, most notably the point standings, or the point scheme going into this race. For those of you who know Formula One and are big aficionados, this won't be a big surprise. But for everybody who doesn't know, this is the point scheme for the series. 10, 6, 4, 3, 2, 1. There's no points given for poles or number of laps led. But the really important part, the part that I like, along with a lot of other people around here, there's no dropped scores, which make calculating who's where really difficult towards the end of the series. So if you look at it here, it says both the driver and a constructor's championship will be contested, and all results count towards the driver and constructor's championship, which is great. No dropped scores, no stupid mathematics. That makes everything great. Now, one caveat about driving in the race: drivers must complete 90% of the race distance to be classified. And we've seen that bite some people before in the past, where they don't have enough laps completed. They're still on the track, but they're not classified because it's not 90% complete. Other series we've done, it's been 85% complete, but here it's 90. So, very important statistic right there. Trivia question for you to ponder today. Which of the following teams did not use Pirelli tires in 1991? Was it A, Scuderia Italia, also known as Dallara, B, Motor Racing Developments, or C, La Russe F1? We'll have the answer later on in the broadcast. So, looking at the cars going around here, here are some notes from Richard Coxon on things that we should be expecting in this race. Brakes will be a massive issue here, which is no surprise, along with engine temperatures. If the air temperature is over 26 Celsius, it'll be very hard on the engines. People really need to look out for the engines here. So, it's brakes and engines are the most important stuff. You'll probably see a lot of cars out of the race from contact, but equally, I think we could say that we might see some cars drop out late from engine failure. Hopefully we'll have a sizable amount of cars at the end, but I wouldn't be surprised if we have only 6 or 5 cars finishing this race. We'll see what happens. On the subject of tires in this race, there's 2 brands of tires. There's Goodyear and there's Pirelli. In qualifying, the Pirellis have more grip than the Goodyears. In the race, the Goodyears have better durability and are less sensitive to temperature. The Pirellis have more grip, slightly, but they wear quicker and they are much, much easier to overheat. In the real races, quite often Goodyear cars would need to stop, would not need to stop for new tires, whereas Pirelli runners did. And that was certainly the case at Phoenix in 1991 as Gabriel Del Piccolo loses the back end of the car and hits one of the tire barriers. I'm afraid that's the kind of accident we might see quite a lot of today. During the course of the Grand Prix. And Gabriel has gone to the garage. So let's take a look at some of the cars that we have here in this mod. Right now we're looking at the Scuderia Italia car, also known as a Dallara. This car is using a V10 Judd engine, which is an okay power plant. It's not too bad. It's not one of the best ones. And Lotus, who actually figured very prominently in qualifying. We'll talk about that later. This is a Lotus that is driven by Brian Janik. And the Lotus here is using a Judd EV V8. This is actually the same as the 1990 car. Not enough changes to the 1990 car to warrant a new designation. There's Coxon in his Tyrrell. The Tyrrell uses the engines that McLaren used last year, the Honda V10, and it's the 020 chassis. There's Grant, the other Dallara. Here is Matthias. This is Mark Whitman. He's got his middle name in there on the on the name over the car. The Minardi uses Ferrari V12s, and this is the chassis from 1990. So some cars will be updated through the year, which will be interesting to see. There's that level of detail. This is a 1991 chassis with a 1990 Ferrari engine. Here is the famous Red 5, Williams Renault, FW14. And this is one of the rare instances where the car has a white airbox. I believe the rest of the year it was yellow. And I'm looking to see if we have, no, we do not have anyone in here yet from the admin group to do color commentary, so I may end up doing this race solo. I will do my best to bring you a good race if that's the case. What other cars are here? Oh yes, the much talked about Jordan Ford. This car actually was designed originally to run a Judd engine, I believe. Yes, and then when the Ford became available, they grabbed it, and you see those little bumps that are over the engine cover of the car. You can see them right towards the back. They had to add those because the Ford wouldn't fit. But it was really critical that they got that Ford HB V8 because it really figured in their performance during the year. But prior, they had expected to go with Judd engines. I was not aware of that myself. So here is the La Russe team. This is a car that was designed by Eric Broadley. It's a Lola. and they use a Ford DFR Cosworth engine. Amaral is in the McLaren, actually. This is the first time McLaren has used the V12 from Honda. Fernando Portiero can't quite see what car he's driving there. Here's Rob De Vries driving the... A lot of people mistake this for a full Lamborghini entry, but it's not. It's a Modena Lamborghini. Drexler driving the other Williams-Renault. Peter Hlavich in the footwork Porsche. Take a look at the time here. The time, 2 minutes, 44 seconds to go. So I'm going to go through what little information I have left. I'll talk about qualifying and how that went during some of the slower moments in the race, if there are any. But in any case, let's take a look at what is coming up next at ISO. We haven't started this race, but we'll see what's coming up soon. Coming up next Sunday, the 11th, I doubt it will be broadcast, but if any of you want to take part, and there are cars left, the Ford Credit Trophy meeting. This is our second 1996 British Touring Car Championship round out of 13. Sunday, February 11th. The first race will start at 2000 CET, and of course there's a second round that goes in there. Not a round, it's a second race. There's 2 races within the event. So fun time. These tin tops are a lot of fun to drive. And then in the next Formula One race, this will be televised, of course, by me. Gran Premio do Brasil, second round out of 16. That is Sunday, February 18th, and the green light, similar to now, will be at 2000 CET, but we will be on the air at 1945 CET.
Hey, good evening.
Oh, there you are. Good evening, Alberto. Glad you can make it.
I'm really sorry to have been late, but I just came from out of the city. We were all weekend out, and it was an absolutely late arrival on the last minute possible. But I'm so happy to be here back with you, Jason, in the booth.
Yeah, absolutely. We always have fun calling these races, and it's going to be a really interesting one today, I think. I talked about the track briefly. We have 1 minute. Is there anything you'd like to say about this Phoenix Street Circuit?
Well, I think that you probably have already summed it up very well, but being a street track, as Jack Dempsey used to say, the toughest fights are the ones on the street. So it's going to be a really, really heavy season opener. Although it's probably not going to be so much indicating of what we can expect for the whole season, because these street races are so different from everything else. I mean, you need to keep the car far from the walls and all that, and it's a different kind of racing altogether. So it's going to be fun. It's going to be, of course, somehow indicating of the pecking order in performance, but this is going to be like Monaco, a bit of a one-off. So we shouldn't draw conclusions so quickly from this race, but it's going to be an awesome spectacle to watch anyway.
Any thoughts on the high concrete walls that it basically makes it like a blind corner every time you get to one?
Yeah, it is. I mean, you need to do a very, very fine job of memorizing the track, muscle memory, and all your ability to be able to guide the car to a point where you are actually not seeing. So that's so important here. It's going to be very telling of the drivers who are able to do that right and who are not.
All right, excellent. Well, you arrived at just the right time, because the clock has gone to 0. 82 laps for this race. A little over 305 kilometers, and I think we're all ready to get this season underway. A belated Happy New Year to you as well, Alberto.
Same to you.
We'll head to the track here, and eventually we'll click over. It'll be interesting to see how they line up, because I was looking at the list of DNQs, and at the time it included Yuha, which surprised me. I guess we'll see what's going on once we go down the list. I've got the list of DNQs here, although I'm not sure it's entirely correct. But we'll go down the list. This will be everybody's first look at the new cars and new driver combinations, us included. So heading up the grid here, Grant is on the pole, driving a Dallara Judd D191. And we are going to wait until everybody pulls away from the grid, and then we will tell you about who is paired with what car and where they stand. Exciting time of the year, of course, because I was saying earlier, Alberto, it's a clean slate. Nobody's scored
It
the
is.
points.
Absolutely. That's why everybody wants and likes so much to start the new season, because everybody has right now, at least on paper, the same chances to do well. We know that's our tradition here. We have the best drivers on not so good cars, so the whole field is balanced, and therefore it's a clean slate. Absolutely for everybody.
Yeah, even from a spectator point of view, it's very exciting because you don't know what's going to happen. Okay, here we go. On the sighting lap, recon lap, on the pole, Grant Radal, Delara Judd D191. In second is his dad, Ray Radal. So it's a Radal front row lockout. Williams Renault FW14. In third, Richard Coxon, driving Stefano Bonda's Tyrrell 020. Fourth, Giovanni Centorami. Pay close attention to this guy. I think now that he's got a really good car, I think we might see some spectacular stuff from him. He's in the second Delara Judd D191. In fifth, Brian Janik, Lotus Judd 102B. This is basically a revamped version of last year's car. They'll have a new one coming later on, I think. Sixth is Anders Nilsson in the first of the Jordans. I love this car. Beautiful to look at and was a great performer in 1991. Seventh, Juha Boss. Okay, there's our answer. He's not a DNQ. Benetton Ford B190B. That's the 1990 car. Eventually they will get the 91 car in here. Eighth is Mark Whitman in the first of the Minardi's. Ninth is David Saber, the first of the Ferraris, the 642, which is a development of the 1990 car, the 641. 10th, Tim Hilla, and he is in the Minardi Ferrari M191. Gabriel Del Piccolo in an AGS in 11th. That's an interesting combination. 12th, Francisco Amaral driving Ayrton Senna's MP46. Nicholas Kirsten in 13th with the LaRousse Ford, designed by Eric Broadley. 14th, John Team, Leighton House, Ilmore. 15th, Luciano Rocha in the other Ferrari 642. 16th, Jules Bouchard weaving back and forth to get its heat in his tires, Jordan Ford. Luke Rosella, 17th, Footwork Porsche. 18th, Ricardo Mendez, Brabham Yamaha. 19th is Alan Santo in the other McLaren Honda. 20th, Oscar Team, Leighton House. 21st, Rob De Vries. 22nd, Moises Pereira. 23rd, Bruno Chacon in the other Benetton. 24th, Peter Hlavich in the other Footwork. 25th, Jonathan Esserklint in a Coloni Ford. And rounding out the field is Fernando Portiero in the other Brabham Yamaha. This is last year's car again. It'll be updated with a new one. So that is your grid. The cars are now filing on. I'm not going to tell you the DNQs because the list I have is out of date, I believe. But 26 cars starting this race. Tense moments here. Everybody wants to get away quickly, and it is going to be just a mad scramble for that first turn. I don't think we're going to get through it without seeing contact. I hope I'm wrong. And there's the flash. Stand by now for the start of the United States Grand Prix. And the race is underway. Cars fanning out, trying to get in some kind of advantage going down to the first turn here, but it looks like Grant is going to have the upper hand as they head into the first turn. Cars, look at this, 4-5 wide, heading down into the first corner. As Derek Daly would say, it's harem scarum time. Grant Radal is in the lead. His dad is in second place. It appears that Janik is in third, so everybody's trying very hard to keep the car off the wall. I mean, it's very easy to overdrive this circuit. But there they are, coming into view. And Grant had a really spectacular qualifying session. He basically battled back and forth with his dad towards the end as he almost loses the back of the car. Oh my goodness, he's going to want to avoid doing that. But he definitely has a good cushion so far, about 9/10 of a second between himself, almost a full second, and his dad in red 5, Nigel Mansell's car. Janik is in third. Coxon is in fourth place as they come now down towards another of the right-hand bends. And then left, yes, Grant Radal, Ray Radal. Brian Janik is third. Coxon is fourth. Saber, fifth. Mark Whitman is in sixth. Seventh is Boss. Eighth is Anders Nilsson. Ninth is Hilla. And 10th is Centorami. As they come down to complete one lap of the United States Grand Prix. Very smooth start, Alberto. I was expecting a lot more fireworks.
Yeah, big credit to this grid of very experienced drivers because it was an absolutely fantastic race start and absolutely fantastic season start because in this street track with completely new cars that everybody has had to get used to, they made an absolutely incredible clean start. I mean, all the cars went through all the hairpins, through all the corners, all those 90-degree corners with those nasty tire barrels there on the sides. There were even some 3 and 4 wide instances that I had opportunity to look at while they were moving and snaking through this street track in the first lap, and it was absolutely brilliant how everybody managed it. I'm so proud of you all guys. It was really a clean start.
Well,
very good driving.
Not so clean for 3 people. We have Santo, Rosella, and De Vries out of the race already. At the very back of the pack. Not sure what happened there, but I think part of what helped everybody, Alberto, not to take anything away from the drivers, is the fact that we have a very wide circuit here, and that did allow them to kind of fan out 4 and 5 wide and not have too much of a problem at the end of the circuit. Watching Ray Radal now, and he is being pursued by Brian Janik, looking back over his rear wing. And Janik was really good in qualifying. He, at one point, was up near the top, and it looked like it was going to be a Lotus 1-2 starting the race. But in the end, the Dallar and Williams of the Radals made themselves known and pushed the low tie further down the list. But I would not count out Brian in this race. He looks like he's really suited to driving the 102B.
Yeah, absolutely. But as we have said, this is a track that is not typical. This is a track that you will only see this pecking order probably here and in Monaco, because this is a place where the driver ability is so much over the car. Yeah, the car counts so much and that, but still the driver can do so much here. When we come to the open tracks where the power is so important and the grip and all that, then we will see how the quicker cars are obviously slotted up higher in the grids and they do better in the races. But here, this is a pure driver circuit, and you just have to look at the top to see who is there.
Yeah, pretty much.
So you were mentioning before, for example, Brian Janik is there with the Lotus, and also Gabriele Del Piccolo had a good qualifying, and this isn't at all surprising to me in this track. Not in this track, because of the special circumstances it has.
Yeah, I would expect Janik to do well on a track like this. He's very well suited to technical stuff, and actually now he's got Coxon looking at him here, seeing if he could do some kind of an overtake. Oops, that's not going to be the greatest view. Let me adjust that for you. Thank you very much. Following Brian Janik here, and these 3 have been together, and it looks like Grant has pulled out about a 3-second gap on the on these second, third, and fourth place cars. Fastest lap, in fact, set by Grant Radal, no surprise, 1 minute 31. Coxon just did a
this is typical initial driving by Richard Coxon. He doesn't get involved into fights. He never ever wants to be the one who is out in the first corner just because he wanted to have that corner as his. So he conceded to Brian Janik, who was actually behind him. But now he's studying him, and he's like making himself the picture of how and when he can pass Brian if Brian is not able to actually take him to follow the leaders.
Yeah, that was the one part there on the circuit where you can actually see around a corner. The rest of it you can't.
Yeah, it's just the typical. I mean, I've never been to the United States, you live there, but you will probably know that most of the cities are very much like this. I mean, they were laid out anew from ground where there was actually nothing before there, so it was somehow easier to make the streets more logical. Many 90-degree bends and angles, and that's very much what you can see in this track, are for the hairpin.
Well, Detroit was founded by the French, so we have the pinwheel layout.
Yeah, that's true. But I mean, these tracks here, like, I don't think that Phoenix is considered Midwest, isn't it? It's already the West.
No. It's far west.
Nah,
yeah,
it's far west. So
Midwest is like Detroit, Chicago, Kansas City.
Yeah,
that would
exactly.
be Indianapolis. That's what would be considered the Midwest.
So yeah, these were the tracks that were the cities that were laid out like with a protector in a square or something like that when people were arriving.
There's Centorami, who started 4th, and he's now down in 9th place. So something happened on the start. He just didn't quite get what he wanted out of the car out of the start. And here he is following Juha Boss in last year's Benetton, I believe. They're not going to get the new Benetton for a couple races. You'll notice the difference in cars when they have the new Benetton, because it has the raised wing, the raised nose to promote airflow. I think most of that was to promote airflow to the radiators, correct? There was an aero advantage to that as well.
Yeah, I'm not sure if some of that was also the rationale behind it was also to give some more air to the underbody, a cleaner flow to the underbody. I'm sure Richard Wilkes could explain that much better than us. But what I know, this is designed that in fact Benetton started here in '96 with that new model.
Yeah.
And immediately it became such a success. And you can see the traces of it back also in 1999 in the infamous Penske TC27, which is a car that was very much inspired by Formula One designs of the previous years. And you can see that, the raised nose.
The one car that has a particularly raised nose in this race is the Tyrrell. The other one would be the Jordan. Has a bit
there
of a
goes
raised nose.
Bouchard overtaking now Oscar Tim. Very clean overtaking maneuver. I must say that these 90-degree corners, they have somehow of an advantage when you're overtaking, because it makes it very clear if you are going to be able to overtake or not. It's not like those decreasing radius corners where you arrive sometimes very hot. You get many of those in the conventional street circuits when it's not always so clear that you have the line and all that. But here in the 90-degree corners, it's somehow very clear, because either you are really there side by side and you are making it geometrically into the corner, or you are not.
We have a report from Rob DeVries that the incident that took him out was a mess that occurred at the fast right-hander after the hairpin. So, and that is kind of a threading the needle situation. I wouldn't be so surprised about that. But
no, but as I said, it was a clear start. That's for sure. It was a fine start, but then as everybody starts like joking for positions, because everybody wants to settle down as fast as possible, especially in a track like this where you cannot overtake. It's, I mean, at some point you're going to get some those kinds of racing incidents. But I mean, the start itself was very clean.
Well, as we continue to watch this battle right here, let's take a look further down the field and see if there's any other. Well, Bruno in 19th there, and Pereira in 20th. Here's Peter Hlavich driving the Footwork Porsche, a V12 engine that I don't believe Footwork used the entire season in this car. I believe they ditched it for a Hart engine at some point.
Yeah, they basically upgraded, so to speak.
Yeah.
So Grant has already a lead of 3.3 seconds ahead of Wright instead, who is there in the Williams. But right behind Ray, everything is way hotter. There's Yannick, there's Richard Coxon. There's going to be probably a three-way battle between them, because then there is a bit of a gap now to David Sauber and Anders Nilsson, who are together. And then comes another group, which is Centorame, Boss, Hille, Amaral, and a very, very hot battle, very heated battle right behind them between Kirsten, Tim, and Del Piccolo. Well, actually, Kirsten is just overtaken by Tim.
More DNFs, I'm afraid. Jonathan Asserclinth and Moises Pereira both out of the race.
Yeah, we're going to see very quickly, especially with the slow cars that need to be overdriven here to keep the pace. It's going to be, oh, there goes Del Piccolo. Very clean overtaken on Nicolas Kirsten. Whoops, that's slotted there. Oh, I saw some piece of carbon there.
He looks clean from here. I don't see any. Let's take a look at the replay of the overtake. coming down towards. Yeah, it's a very clean overtake of Kirsten. It appears Kirsten wanted to hang on to the outside because he knows. Oh goodness, no, there was no part. That part there was there before they got there, actually. So no part taken by either car. But yeah, that was Kirsten did something interesting there. He wanted to try to get alongside him because he knew he would be on the inside line for the next corner, but it didn't happen.
And it's interesting to see that.
Oh goodness, we have a huge accident. It is Jules Bouchard has just crashed in his Jordan Ford. That is,
yep.
And he had been moving up steadily. Let's take a look at a replay of what happened here. On the car is probably the best one. Going through here, left. Oh, he just swayed too wide coming out of that fast corner and clipped the tire barrier. Fortunately, not taking anyone with him, but that's really that's really too bad. We're going to see a few of those accidents today, mark my words.
Yeah, how fortunes change.
Yeah.
Because Bouchard is, remember, the defending champion from last year. Now he's placed in a car that is mid-grade, so to speak, and he has to overdrive, take risks, and there you go. I mean, just the blink of an eye is enough in these cars to take you out.
The other Jordan is well placed right now by Anders Nilsson, who I would dare say we're going to see a lot of in this series. But here we still have this battle between second through fourth. This is an interesting one. At some point, something's going to give, but it looks like Coxon is really trying to set himself up to get around Janik if he can.
Yeah, and it's very important to note that at this point the drivers have practice in their cars. They know they're new cars, but they don't have yet the feel of how the competition stacks. They don't really know how the other drivers, the combo of the other driver and the other car is working. So everybody's like trying to feel their way, what they can do, what they can get away with, you know?
They don't have a mental book yet.
Yeah.
They don't know, I mean, they know the drivers,
Correct.
but they don't know the driver-car combination, what that will produce.
Mm-hmm. And that's so fundamental when you're dancing on the limit here, on the overtake with these machines.
My sense here, sorry, looking at
No.
it appears that Brian is running very little rear wing on his car because he's able to pull away from Coxon on the long straights pretty easy. Oops! Coxon just nicked one of the barriers. Didn't lose any parts, but hopefully the car is still straight and true. But I get the strong suspicion that Brian is running with minimal wings because that V10 Honda engine is definitely a better engine than the Judd. And even with that consideration, Janik's able to pull out some distance, but now there may be an additional problem for Coxon.
It's somehow funny because while this is a street track and you would expect everybody to have high wings, that's actually a trick, the low wing one, that could work well here. And the reason is, if you look at the corners of those 90 degrees corners, you're actually doing drag races between corners. So you're basically going very quick, stopping hard, and then it's not like you need a lot of corner speed. You just need to get along quickly over the corner and power up immediately after it. So that's actually a setup that surprisingly could work well here.
Riding with Janik now as he follows Ray Rodal down the straight. A little higher view here so you can see the car ahead of him. He's able to hang right with the Williams Renault. I mean, this is a really great drive for Janik so far. Keeping the car clean and not getting, not letting Coxon stress him out back there. He's keeping his eyes firmly fixed on the Williams in front of him. But while this is going on, Grant Rodal is 6 seconds in front. Not a huge distance, not an insurmountable distance, but I'm sure that Brian is thinking not only I got to get around Rodal for a second, he's also thinking about his son, Grant, getting away. And the longer it takes him to get around Ray Rodal, the harder it's going to be to chase him down, his son.
Yeah, that's very true. And the least thing that these guys want is Grant to be able to control the race leisurely without any pressure. Because we all know what caliber of driver he is, and if he doesn't have some kind of challenge from behind, then it's going to be a walk in the park for him, save for any like engine failure or anything like that. And I'm not going to repeat it.
Well, he's getting very close to him now. I mean, on every corner, he's very close and really harrying him. Coming down to the end of another lap here. We'll see if he can pull on him on the straight here. This is a different situation than the 86 cars we had last year where there's boost knobs. These cars are normally aspirated, so...
Yeah, there is no magic boost here.
No.
But you do have engine fuel maps. Because I know that this was a feature that the cars had, and Wilkes also was able to add it somehow in the game. So they have fuel maps.
That's cool.
They have some kind of, so to speak, margin there, or a bit of an opportunity to tweak with the engine. Although it's Grand Prix are the sliding the car in the hairpin. Although it's not as dramatic as the turbo, not by any means.
That's the second time that Grant has done that. In a hairpin. It's the same one, actually. He did it on lap 1.
Do you think he's showboating?
No, I think he's pushing the car for all he can. Grant is the kind of driver that knows 2 speeds, on and off. So, Grant Riddall in our league reminds me of kind of a Michael Andretti type of driver.
Yeah,
he's either
very
he's
true.
either always leading, always at the front, or out of the race. One or the other.
Yeah, one of the main difficulties that many world champions have said that there is, and that marks the difference many times between the great drivers and the absolutely fantastic drivers, is the ability to switch rhythm, to change rhythm.
Yes.
To be able to push the car to the limit, but also when you really need it, to be able to make the most of the car going at 90%. That's not easy. For some people, it's mentally, I'm going full throttle, full all the time, looking for the limit and all that. And if I somehow slow down things a bit, then I lose concentration and I hit a wall.
Yeah, that's
a big problem.
You're actually in more danger if you try to conserve the car, because you're not driving to the points that you may have driven earlier, and it throws your concentration. Now look who's joining the battle here with Janik and Coxon. Nilsson is right with them, so this is turning into a 4-car battle now.
And all of them are stuck behind Prix Vidal because the Williams is such a good car that it's not going to be easy to overtake it. And it's a very interesting situation, because I think Rai is being conservative here because he is very much aware that he has a very good car, and that what he really needs to do is score in all the races if possible, because he's mounting a championship challenge. Whereas in the case of Brian Janik, you see a guy here who says, hey, in a Lotus, I'm here a star in a city track because thanks to my talent I'm able to go quick. Let's see what I can make of it, because probably in the next race I won't have that opportunity. So it's quite interesting to see the different approaches that you have to the race here.
Well, here might be an opportunity for one of them coming down this straight. No, it doesn't appear so. But definitely there are certain parts of the circuit where Brian is faster than Ray. Like here, look, he's looking around him right here, seeing if he can just get a quick look. There wasn't an opportunity there, but he's looking at the daylight. He's studying Ray each lap around here. But he's got to keep in mind that he's got 2 hungry drivers behind him as well.
Yeah, and Tim Hill just overtook John Tim. Is there a nice scrap between them? Back for 11th place, which is the one that Tim Hill has right now.
Yeah, Hill driving the Minardi there, I believe.
Mm-hmm. Correct, with the Ferrari engine.
Yes. And here comes John. Well, John's looking at him. I think this is before the overtake. Where did it actually happen? Down the other straight? I'm not sure, but...
Juha is now in front, in the 8th position, challenging Matthias Wittmann, who has the other Minardi, speaking of Minardis. And then right in front of them is Sendoram and then David Sabre. David Sabre is another subject that I think is exactly in the same mindset as right now. Meaning, I know I have a good car, it's going to be a very fast car, I just don't want to spoil it. I want the points. Give me the points, and we'll see us in the next race.
Well, Juha's definitely chomping at the bit here to get by Mark Whitman. You can hear that Ferrari engine. That is last year's Ferrari engine that the Minardi team is using. So he's got
And
12.
I should also...
Go ahead.
sorry.
No, go ahead.
Oh, I should mention that why Grant has opened a seizable gap, that gap has been very much steady for many laps already. I mean, he opened 6-second laps, but right now the gap is absolutely frozen there. So I would think that probably he's happy with this gap and he's not willing to force the car much more. And this is something interesting because it's telling. It's telling that Grant knows that there are some limits to his car, either the tires, the fuel use, whatever. He knows that he shouldn't be pushing it too much because otherwise what the leader wants, what a good race driver wants is absolutely to annihilate the competition. I mean, get a full minute on them, be absolutely comfortable with that. But that's not the case with Grant right now.
Well, there are two things that all drivers, regardless of car and tire combination, will have to keep a close eye on today. And Coxon noted this in his pre-race notes for me, and he's absolutely right. Brakes and engine are the two things that everybody has to keep in mind here, because you're hard on the acceleration many laps around here, or all laps actually, but many points on the circuit you're just going from almost no speed up to top speed and then back down again. So the brakes and the engine are going to be the two things that you have to look after. It's hard to look after them when you're doing battle out here, but if they want to complete the race, they're going to have to do that. So far, all the instances that we've seen of DNFs have been cars that have hit the tire barriers or hit other cars. So my guess is we might see some surprises towards the end of the race of some cars that declare new pope. We'll see.
And there's an interesting situation here behind Brian Riddle. We've got Yannick Coxon and Nilsson all very close together, and I'm wondering already how the aero effects are going to play a role here, because when you are constantly driving in these 90-degree corners behind the other car, you must have much more understeer. There's Nilsson here getting antsy. I think he wants to get past Coxon, but I mean, you got a lot more understeer, so I think they are going to wear out the front tires much more than Grant, for example, who is driving on his own and just power sliding out of the corners.
Yeah, it really the driving technique definitely will affect how well the tires do. If you're more of a, oh goodness, Janik just clipped the barrier there, just enough, just lightly, but I don't think it's causing him any. I don't think it's causing him any issues, at least not right now. Here we are riding on the rear wing, I guess. This is where the camera is. Maybe we can.
Yeah, and another thing that I find interesting and telling is that even if Rice seems to be holding up the cars behind, it's not as if they are all over Rice.
No.
Trying to overtake and all that, and Rice so slow that you feel like, oh man, it's a traffic jam for them. No, it's not the case. In some places, yeah, they are very close, but for the most part, it seems like basically they are all on the same pace.
Yeah, some of them are faster in other parts of the circuit than others, but yeah, it's basically coming out all even in the wash. Meanwhile, Grant is still leading the race. I really wonder if there are going to be any stops in this race for tires. Again, it's probably going to be down to tire choice, and I think you're really you put your finger on something important. Just the way that you take care of your tires. If you're sliding through these corners, you're probably going to overheat them and cause an issue. Now, of course, heat in tires and overheating is not the same as wear. Those are two different things, but still, it's going to affect your ability to hold your position or advance it. If you heat up your tires...
There go Habos, overtaking Matt. Oop, nope. But he's trying.
Look at this. Here's Coxon on the outside of Janik trying to overtake him. He had to look for a minute. Is he going to go for it going into the turn down to the end here? He's placed. Is he going to outbrake him? No! But he had it lined up. He just simply wasn't going to get there. But this battle continues to rage here. And of course, for Grant Riddle, it's a great thing. He's like, hey, guys, have fun. You know, I'll just streak away. Because cars, obviously, that are jockeying for position are slower than if they're running by themselves. But yeah, it's especially tight now between Janik, Coxon, and Nilsson. These three working together here.
And I got the gut feeling that the reason that Coxon is attacking now Janik is because Anders got too uncomfortable close to him.
Yeah.
I mean, it's Anders who has basically made all of these things roll together.
Oh,
Whoop,
goodness,
bah.
Coxon! Oh, no! Oh, Coxon losing. Oh, no! He's had an accident. A Ferrari hit him, and he's out of the race. Tires flying. Oh, my goodness. Let's take a look at a replay. See, and accidents like this happened in the 1991 USGP. Someone crashes, or actually, he just flat lost the back end, and then gets clouded by the Ferrari coming out of the corner.
Yeah, but and all the accounts of the accidents so far in the race that we have seen in the chat, they have been like this. I mean, a car loses control or hits a wall, and it basically collects the others because there is no room.
There's
There is
still
nowhere
parts.
else to go.
There's still parts on the track right now, but that was a rather a chain reaction situation, I guess you could call it. Now here we are looking down the straight. You can see how much of a lead Grant Radal has. It's actually up to it's still at 6 seconds, so it hasn't really changed much, but it's a long distance. That altercation is giving Ray a bit of breathing room, and now Janik's primary concern is holding off Anders Nilsson in the. Actually, look at this. Anders has got a really good purchase coming off of this loop at the end of the track, but he's not really able to do much with it. But basically, what happened there with Coxon, he just flat lost the rear end coming out.
Amaral also,
Yeah.
aka Ayrton Senna, is out of the race.
Oh, shoot.
I'm trying to look at the replay here to see what happened. Yeah, he basically, the same thing. He understeered after a corner into the tire barriers. And that's it.
Look at Anders. He's all over him. There's a lap of car, but here's Anders trying to catch Janik now as they come onto the main straightaway. He might have a bit of a speed advantage here on Janik with the Ford HB. But I think Janik had a better exit. Oh no, here's Anders having a look, but he's not going to be able to get it done here.
Yeah, and Anders is very much aware that overtaking Brian Janik basically gives him the way to find Ray Radal, who is not that far in front. And this is probably one of the most motivating things for a driver, because it's not one place you're looking at, but two.
Yeah. Looking a little further back, Centorami has actually recovered some of the positions he lost on the start. He is now 5th in his Dallara, so I'm sure that's he's happy about that. Mark Whitman is having an excellent drive so far. He's 6th in his Minardi, and just behind him, Juha, looking for a way by, but Mark is doing a good job holding him off so far.
Yeah, he has. He has been fending off Juha all of the race brilliantly. It's a very interesting battle to look at. I've been looking at them for some laps, and yeah, I mean, they are doing very good driving there. It's a shame that we can't focus in all the parts of the grid at the same time, but yeah, Anders is also here putting some nice pressure on Brian Janik.
Yeah, here it is again, and this is the part of the circuit where he seems to do really good on these hairpins. Coming off of the hairpin now, here's his chance. Can he convert that into an actual overtake at the end of the straight? It doesn't appear so in this case, but all that's going to have to happen is for Brian to make some kind of a small error, and Nilsson's probably going to get by. It's just a matter of, it's like Seneca said, luck is where opportunity meets preparation, and Nilsson is placed to overtake, and all that needs to happen really is for Janik to make a mistake. There's still a little bit more gap between Ray and these two, so he's not really in the most perilous of situations. Here goes Boss by Mark Whitman at the end of the long straight. Whitman trying to counterattack on the outside, but I don't know if he's going to be able to make it work. He's going back on the outside, and he gets the position back. Amazing racing. Mark Whitman actually got that position back from Juha. on the outside going in. Let's look at a replay of the initial pass. This is Juha coming down, has position, no problem, takes the place from Mark Whitman. And now, going on to the next one, look at this. Mark Whitman accelerates on the outside. He's not on the ideal line, and he still manages to take the position back from Juha. That's amazing driving right there. So, Juha, that was his one lunge that he's taken here in recent laps, and it just, Mark was able to hold him off. That's pretty impressive stuff.
Yeah, it's one of those things that make you think twice, because it's like, well, what's the point of overtaking this guy if in the end we're on the same pace and he's going to be pestering from behind all the time?
Yeah.
It's a complicated situation.
They're fighting for the last points-paying position, too, but I'm sure things are going to change between now and the end of the race anyway.
Oh, Brian Janik, I can see him slowing down in the track. What's going on here?
Oh, goodness. Well, maybe he got something wrong slightly there. Let's have a look at a replay here. Yeah, he let, that's interesting. I don't know what happened there. I'm running it back so we can see. We're at the end of the long straight here. They turn in. Nilsson's behind him. Janik, he didn't touch anything, but Janik he slows right down and lets Nilsson by. Maybe there was some kind of a hardware issue that he experienced.
Let me guess. Overheated brakes.
Maybe that. Yeah.
Maybe he felt that he needed to cool down the brakes because he had been pushing them too much, and it was like no other option but to let them cool off.
I think you're absolutely right. I think that's what happened, because the only other thing I could think of is a hardware failure. But it didn't appear that way.
Yeah,
now,
but the worrying thing is, if you are suffering this so early in the race, what's going to happen from now on?
He still seems like he's on pins and needles, but the only way, really, the worst part about brake overheating is that you basically have to wait for them to cool down. And the only way you can do that is by driving more conservatively. Same thing is true with tires. If they overheat, you have the only remedy is to drive slower. And nobody wants to do that.
Yep.
Well, that knocks Brian down to fourth, but I'm sure he's not out of this race yet. Nilsson now getting closer to Ray Radal as they enter last turn, start another lap.
So I'm looking at Brian's laps, okay, and
Yeah.
he had been doing steadily 130, 131. That's obviously because he is in traffic, so to speak. And at some point he went down to 129 in lap 21. And immediately that was the point when he stopped, and he in next lap it was 141. So it's like 1 second too quick, and he probably got something out of order, be it the tires, the brakes, whatever, and he had to stop to cool them down.
I don't think we mentioned it at the time, but the Ferrari that lanced Coxon after he lost control was David Saber.
Yeah.
So a Ferrari out of the race there. But that was a very unfortunate situation. And David coming around that corner again must have just saw Coxon at the last moment. There was nothing he could have done.
Okay. Brian is certainly going much slower now.
Well,
taking it much easier. It's not as if anything is broken in the car, but yeah, it's likely either tires or brakes overheated.
something is not right.
Anders in turn is pursuing Ray Radal. Let's see if he has a better chance at putting pressure at Ray.
Yeah, that's what I'm really interested in right here, because it looks like he's closing on Ray as they're coming down this straightaway here. You can see he's actually moving around trying to find some daylight. But coming into this, this is the only open turn again on the circuit, and he's got good purchase coming off that turn. The Ford HB V8, although it's not as powerful as the Renault, you got to remember that weight also makes a difference in a car. And cars running this HB Ford, they liked running it because for a V8 it was powerful, but it also gave you the advantage of better weight distribution. So,
and looking back at the grid, what a fantastic battle there between Mark Matthias Wittmann and Juha Boss, because they have been passing each other. Juha Boss is right now in front.
Yeah, he's back in front now.
Yeah, I was looking at them because, things are getting hot, because there's right behind them Tim Hille with the other Minardi, coming here to help his teammate. John Tim right after Tim Hille. And I mean, these guys, Tim and John, they are in a hurry themselves. So it's not as if they are going to be held up very long behind the ones in front.
These guys are really going at it, and we're only just a little over a quarter away from through the race. You know, so there's a lot of racing left to do.
So while Anders is having a more cautious approach towards Rai, he's right now he found Rai. He's studying him. He's waiting for an error, but also seeing what he goes. Whereas in the case of these guys, Boss, Whitman, and there are absolutely no quarters held. I mean, they are all over each other.
Yeah.
Oh, Del Piccolo coming out of the pits, so that's interesting. We were talking about there goes Tim on the outside.
Yeah. Oh, but Hill is counterattacking, and he gets to the corner before. Now let's see what happens in the next corner. Is Team going to counterattack? No, he can't. Hill stays in 8th place. The team is really, really anxious to get back around Tim Hille. So these Minardi's in the hands of Hille and Mark Whitman seem to be pretty quick.
Man, and all those tire stacks are getting white hair as long as those guys come around.
Oh, look at that. There's a team trying an inside line there coming off the hairpin, but just couldn't make it work. But he's right with him now. He's going to try to attack him at the end of the straight, I'm sure. Flick to the left. Now they're coming down another long straight. Those tires there, if you're just slightly off, and there's Hille taking a bit of a defensive posture as they're getting close to Chacon now, the other Benetton. This Benetton's a lap down, and Chacon does a good job of getting out of the way. That was good sportsmanship on his part. Yeah, but this battle between Hille and Team is definitely not over yet.
Wait a moment. Grand Prix is now in 3rd. What happened here?
What happened there? Okay, we got to find out.
So when we were looking at that battle, all of a sudden Grant dropped many places, and there's right now in the lead. Anders is in 2nd, but Grant dropped back.
Yeah, there's an interesting
it
question.
It surprise me if something along... I mean, it could have been some kind of incident, driving error, maybe a lap car, I don't know.
No, it was a pit stop.
Ah, okay.
It was a pit stop.
Yes, because Del Piccolo did a pit stop too.
Yeah, it was a pit stop
but
right there.
It's like very early in the race. I mean, that could very well explain the pace that Grant was having, because he had gone for softer compounds. Then we will be seeing him sprinting in shorter stints, because I mean, it's 82 laps, and stopping in lap 24 must have been.
That's very early. I mean,
yeah, it is.
He must have had serious tire issues, serious enough that it warranted taking him out of the lead. But in any case, he's still 3rd. And look at this now. Nilsson is right with who is our leader, Ray Radal. So we have an excellent battle for the lead right now because of Grant stopping for tires. Again, this is a period of time in F1 history where they did not refuel the cars. You put the fuel on board that you needed for the race, and you only came in pits for tires, if at all.
Yeah, correct. And that makes the stint so much more interesting, because one thing is how your tires behave. I mean, even the same tires behave with a full tank as you start the race, and a very different proposition is how they behave once the car is like half tank or even a quarter of it.
Yeah, I think
So
Nilsson's
no two stints are the same.
Yeah, so Nilsson's just waiting for an opportunity here. But Radal is driving such a good car, the Williams FW14. This is the first year that Williams used a semi-automatic gearbox. I know that it caused Mansell in particular a lot of grief. He was really angry with his engineers after the San Marino Grand Prix where the gearbox failed. Had it not been for that teething situation with that semi-automatic gearbox, you know, Mansell may have been in a much better place by the end of the year.
Yeah, and he wasn't like mentioning it so, but it was somehow implicitly, it was a bit of a relief when in '93 he went kart racing, IndyCar racing, and it was back to manual. Like, oh man, finally. I mean, yeah, I know it was an advantage and all that, but it's like this thing here, I have full control over what it's doing.
Yeah, I think it's fair to say that certain drivers are wait a minute. I think that I heard an engine there. It looked like somebody might have gone off into the runoff area. It didn't appear to be anybody on the lead lap, as here comes Nilsson having a look, and he can't get alongside Ray Riddall. Ray lives to fight another day up there in first place, driving Red 5. I believe both Williams were wiped out in this race in 91. That's my recollection. I could be wrong, but in any case, Nilsson is right with him on every corner, harrying Ray Riddall. Ray's got a little bit more room on this turn, but I don't know. We'll see if either of these two think about going for the pits. But Grant is staying in third. Janik still in fourth. Centorami in fifth. Not too far back from this group. And then we have the continuing battle between Juha Boss and Mark Whitman. And team is firmly past Tim Hill at this point. And in 10th place, actually, here's an interesting story. Ricardo Mendez in the Brabham is in 10th place.
Mm-hmm.
Uh-oh, more car parts are on the track. So, and the other Ferrari, Luciano Rocha, is in 11th place. So it's not all doom and gloom for the Tifosi, although 11th place, you're not going to score any points. That's John Alesi's Ferrari.
Well, we're fortunately very far from Tifosi land. So.
Yeah, actually, there are a lot of Italians in Montreal, so Tifosi will be definitely on hand there. Nicholas Kirsten.
Okay, Anders is now signaling pits too.
Okay.
No. Okay, they that went away, but maybe somehow it had it scheduled, because otherwise it doesn't make sense. Oh, okay.
Yeah, we got some more DNFs. Oscar team is out of the race, unfortunately. But, yeah.
Ricardo Mendes, too, signaling pits. So
okay, so we got a number of people here taking the opportunity. And you can expect...
for example, John Tim is in the pits right now.
Okay. Yeah, I think it's fair to say that you can expect the second set of tires to go a bit longer than the first because of the diminished fuel weight. But even then, yeah. Lap 30 seems very early to me to be coming in.
Yeah, I mean, what Grant did was absolutely unexpected for me, at least. And again, I don't know this car so well, but...
Who are the Italians in Montreal? There's an Italian community there, much in the same way we have a Polish community here in Detroit. This is a, but actually it's different now than it would have been then. Montreal is incredibly international now. I don't think you could pin down exactly one group from Europe that has precedence over another one. It's wildly diverse right now.
Yeah, well, I think there is an Italian community about anywhere in the world.
Yeah,
maybe
probably
not
true.
in the Antarctica, but safe from that.
Yeah. Well, of course, there's always a Quebecois contingent there, but it's really cool to see Montreal being said. It's the closest you can come to going to Europe without leaving the continent in the Americas. It's so international and such a cool place. For that
right.
reason.
So, and speaking of that, of the Americas and that, can you share any insight of how this Phoenix Grand Prix came to be?
No, I don't. I have no idea why they. It's almost like they opened a phone book and pointed at something. I'm not sure why. I mean, it's not a bad circuit. It just seems to be an odd location. I don't know. Why wouldn't they choose New York City or Los Angeles or Las Vegas, for that matter, since they've been there once before. I have no idea why they chose Phoenix. It just seems random.
It seems indeed, because I mean, I don't know much about the United States, probably as European, but it's like Phoenix is not exactly the location that you would expect to have a Formula One Grand Prix, considering where it is. I mean, it's not. It isn't the biggest city either. I know it's been in the modern times. It's been like growing a huge amount. It's been incredible the amount of growth that the city has. But back then in 1991, I think it was a quite small town, so to speak.
Well, they did have a pretty vibrant downtown. I mean, you can see it here. The challenge these days is water. You know, it being a big city in a desert. But anyway, so no pit stops yet from the top two, and they're going to continue around for another lap. So, see. Meanwhile, Grant is continuing on. He of course has already made his stop. And
that's exactly what I was right now looking at, because our leader has done 129.3, and Grant on fresh tires has done 129.6. So that's something quite interesting, because you would expect that maybe Grant Ridal, after the pit stop on fresh tires, will be going so much quicker, but no, he isn't. It's 129.9 versus 129.56, something like that.
yeah.
So it's not as, I mean, the gap that we were seeing previously isn't simply there right now.
The interesting thing too is that Centurami is starting to close on Brian Janik. They both just overtook John Team after his pit stop. Must have been a long one, because he was down in 13th place after the stop. But Centurami is starting to assert himself here after the poor start that he had.
Yeah, and the pecking orders among car seems to be becoming a bit clearer, because we got now Tim Hille in 7th. There's also his Minardi teammate Wittmann in 6th, and Yuva Boss is then next on the Bennett. Mm-hmm. So both Minardis already grouped, which seems to indicate that at least right now they are a bit above the Bennett in the initial form of it, because we know this is a car that later on in the season can and will win Grand Prix.
So Nicholas Kirsten running 10th in the LaRousse. That's pretty good for that car. A car designed by Eric Broadley for the LaRousse team. Mendez is in 11th. 12th is Chacon. 13th team. 14th is Peter Hlavich, soldiering on in the Footwork Porsche. Del Piccolo is in 15th right now.
So, and Brian Janik, after that initial situation that we could not explain when he dramatically slowed down, is now holding on to 4th quite comfortably, because I saw that Giovanni Centorame with the other Dallara was getting close to him. He is indeed closer, but it's not as if he has run over Brian Janik immediately, coming very hot from behind on that. No, Brian is keeping a steady rhythm and seems to be, for the moment, he's holding well Centorame behind him.
There was a yellow flag for a minute there, not sure what that was for, but yeah, Brian's holding his own here. There's not a Centurami is not surging behind him here, which is what I might expect.
I think that yellow flag was probably Porterio coming out of the pits, something like that.
Probably. And you'll notice too that this is by far a smooth circuit. There are definitely a lot of bumps along the way. So if they were trying to get away from the bumps in Detroit, they ended up having bumps in Phoenix anyway, so I don't think they have to go around or over railroad tracks here, which is what they had to do in Detroit. Yeah, I agree. Janik is back to a good form, better than he was a while ago. Maybe he just overcooked the tires or the brakes, or a combination of both, and just needed to give the car a bit of rest so he could get a second win.
Nilsson right now, there's a car that has hit the wall, and Nilsson barely hit one of the tires. Which was the car?
Yeah,
that
Nilsson
hit the
has
wall?
disappeared. He's down to 5th now.
Yeah, that must have been the pit stop. I was.
It was a
looking
pit
at-
stop, yeah. Had to have
Which
been.
is the car that has hit the wall in front?
Oh, yeah,
of
yeah,
Nilsson?
there it is. You saw it. There's
Maybe
a...
Porteiro. I think, yeah, it was Fernando Porteiro, I think. In the
he actually didn't hit the... yeah, that was it just going by. We missed it. But that's... it appears to be Portiero in one of the Brabhams. But yeah, there were some parts there lying around, and Anders didn't appear to hit any of them, so he is now running in 5th place. That gives some breathing room. Okay, Janik and Centrabi trying to get around Chacon, which they do without any trouble. But these two are definitely closer together than they were before. I think it's fair to say that Giovanni's a little bit faster now than Brian is. So probably looking for an opportunity here. This is a battle for 3rd place.
Oh, Yannick is signaling pits in any
Okay.
case.
Well, he probably figures that now is as good a time as any.
Yeah, and this is one of those situations where it would be so good that the driver behind knows what is happening in front. Because maybe Santarama is now trying to force it, trying to overtake, and Yannick is actually not willing to have a fight and is going into the pit. So it would be good if both knew well what's going on.
Right. Janik. A couple more turns and he'll be at the pit entrance. There he goes. He is going into the pits, yes. In 4th
Oops.
now. Makes his stop. Hopefully he turned off the... if he,
No, we didn't mention it, but the compounds can also be seen in the sidewalls.
Oh.
So it seems that Brian has softer compound in the front than in the rear, which is probably not unexpected in a street track like this, where you got so much understeer to deal with that you want a good, nice front end grip.
Yep. That doesn't surprise me at all. And there he goes. Brian only lost 1 position on the track with that stop. So very good stop for Brian and the Lotus team.
Okay, now Grant has caught up with Rai, and I think he's like trying to get into the lead again, but we will see.
After his pit stop, Ray has not made a stop that we know of.
Yeah, I think this is one of the races that I've seen Rai driving in a more steady, composed manner, not willing to go into any trouble. I think this is going to be, he's going to be a very serious challenger for this season, because the car is absolutely top notch.
All right, he's tucked right behind him here. Let's see if he makes a move. He is making a move. He comes down the inside. Is he going to late break his dad into the corner? He is. He takes the lead. Let's see if Ray counterattacks. No, he does not. So Grant is back in the lead. And this is after his pit stop that he took. So now his task is to take the car to the end. And he's got a long, long way to go to do that.
Yeah, but like I said, aside from the father and son dynamic that you would expect in terms of not really like going at each other's throats when it comes to overtaking, I think that Rai has now a very clear picture of, I've got a very good car, this is a superior car, I'm happy here, for example, in a street track in 2nd place, and it's like, wow, this looks very good for the season, let's score the points here and live to fight another day, because there will be much better tracks where I can make this car shine and get the points.
Well, he is just streaking away now. He's already 2.5 seconds, almost 3, in front of his dad. So now,
and by the way, and in contrast with the previous year, no drop scores here.
Yes, I'm so happy with that. I hate dropped scores. I don't think anybody likes them. There are currently now 10 cars on the lead lap. They had just actually, we said before we thought it was Ricardo Mendez who had crashed. In fact, it was not Ricardo. It would have been it was the other Brabham, because he is still on the circuit.
No, it was Fernando Porteiro.
It was. Yeah, well, we did say that. You're right. Is Fernando, you're right. Thank you. So Ray is pretty much content to let Grant streak off into the distance. Looking back, Centorami is now third and Nilsson fourth after the pit stop made by Janik, who is in fifth. Sixth is Whitman. I think that's a fantastic drive. Juha has lost a lot of ground, actually. Maybe there was a stop there, but in any case, Mark is very firmly placed in sixth now. Seventh is Boss. Eighth is Luciano Rocha in the only remaining Ferrari. Ninth.
And Tim Hille in the pits, by the way.
Hille in the pits.
Yeah. Medium compounds for him all around.
Yep. I'm impressed by the performance of the Minardi so far in this race, using last year's Ferrari engine. Barry Lynn's impressed with Grant. Yeah, he made that stop and just on his own driving skill. This is a very long stop for Hille. I don't know what's going on here. Maybe he forgot to turn off the repair because his crew is spit shining that Minardi. I'm pretty sure that's what he forgot to do. Too bad, because he's losing all manner of time here. Other cars are just streaking by him. Yeah, so Grant is in the lead now by about 4 seconds, and then you have another 7 seconds back from Ray to Centorami. So, and in qualifying, I can go over that now while we have a little bit of a slow moment in the race, if we can call it that. Qualifying was a very interesting situation. It started with Jules Bouchard and Jordan taking P1 just a few minutes in, like 3 minutes into qualifying, and then right immediately after that, Coxon took the top spot with a time of 1:23.877. A little bit after that, the Lotus team asserted themselves, Janik taking P1 with 1:23.528, and Ruben Fernandez taking P3 with 1:24.788. Things calmed down at that point because people were returning to the pits to get fresh tires and a little bit more fuel. Then, in rapid succession, P3 was taken first by Juha in his Benetton at 1:24.2, and then by Mark Whitman in the Minardi with 1:24.089. So 10 minutes had gone by at that point. Then, Ruben Fernandez asserted himself with a 1:23.287. Coxon then became P2 with 1:23.486. And Nilsson started to assert himself in P4 with a 1:23.540. And things once again calmed down. It tends to come in waves in these qualifying sessions. As drivers, there were a lot of drivers that had taken 6 laps out of their 12, and so they were very carefully thinking to themselves, okay, when am I going to go back out? And then right after that, Janik took his Lotus up to P2 at 1:23.382. So at this point, Lotus was 1 and 2 on the grid. And that was 42 minutes to go in qualifying. P1 then suddenly was Grant Riddall in the Dallara with a 1:23.038. And then his dad came up to P2. So there was Riddall's in the front row with a 1:23.216. Again, things calmed down for a little bit. Then Centorami asserted himself in P3 with 1:23.327. Janik tried to advance his position but couldn't do it. Ray did the same thing, tried to set out, and finally he grabbed P1 with 1:22.750, and eventually Janik went up to P3 with 1:23.149. And in the end, it was a dice between these cars. In the end, we ended up with Grant on the pole with 1:22 flat, and his dad 1:22.124. And Coxon, very much at the last minute, was third with 1:22.653. So it was a lot of back and forth throughout. But it's funny how it comes in spurts of action. There's always a situation where there's cars setting fast laps and then they come back in and sit for a minute and then go back out again. So it's a very sporadic kind of situation qualifying.
And speaking of fast laps, it seems that Anders Nielsen just put the quickest lap in the race, which is quite interesting, on the one tires. And Ray Vidal himself is signaling pits now.
All right. Ray in second place right now with the Williams, so he's going to come in. We're basically at halfway now. The car behind him there is not in contention. That's one of the Brabhams. And we'll see here how long Ray stays in the pits. I mean, a pit stop here is a real killer in terms of time off the circuit.
Yeah,
there are no yellow
flags. It's the same for everybody. So as long as you do the same pit stops as the rest, is not going to be a problem. Here we go.
There he goes into the pits.
Nice and steady through the pit entry slowdown chicane.
Yep.
Let's see what kind of tires he's going to put here.
Oh, he locks up a little bit, but makes
yeah,
his
the tires were shot anyway. Mediums overall.
Okay. Holding him for a while here, actually. This is a long stop. Yep. There, he finally gets away. There's a bit of variability built in, I believe, but in any case, finally gets back on, and his spot on the track matches the number of his car now, 5. And Whitman, he's a full straightaway back, so he doesn't have to worry about him. Janik, still in 4th place. Well, actually back up to 4th place now because of that pit stop. So Ray drops to 5th from 2nd place. So he lost 3 places in that stop, but it was a little bit slower than probably he would have liked.
Yeah, and Centorame, after dispensing with Brian thanks to the pit stop, was coming steadily but surely close to Anders Nielsen, but now they came to a lap car, which is Ricardo Mendes, and Anders was much luckier going through. Centorame hasn't been able to go by yet, and this is going to give a lot of nice breathing room to Anders, who is probably so happy to see the Dallara being distanced a bit from him.
Yeah, absolutely.
So, and again, quickest lap for Anders Nielsen with the Jordan 127.998. So I think it's the first car that goes below 128.
Well, that's a good car and a good driver behind the wheel there in Anders. He's got a ways to go before he can catch Grant. 13 seconds. So it's going to really come down to, I mean, can he run him down? He's got a superior power plant in theory and a superior car. But let's wait and see. Here he is lapping Peter Hlavic in the Footwork Porsche.
Yeah, and Anders, you can see the seniority there because he's a driver that warms up to the races. I mean, he's always in a steady progression through the races. He's always quicker at the end than at the beginning and knows very well when to take risks and when he shouldn't be. So it's pretty much the same type of driving that you see normally in Richard Coxon. I mean, those are guys that are cautious at the beginning, no stupid things. And then once they are comfortable, set up in a rhythm, and they are absolutely a hammer. Hammering the lap times and taking the most out of the car.
Yeah, true. Centorami is stuck behind Hlavic now, but I doubt that's going to be for very long. He's actually not too far away from Nielsen. He's about a half a straightaway back. You can see him there. So it'll be interesting to see if Centorami can close on Nielsen. Brian's still in 4th. And Radal firmly ensconced in 5th. 6th is Mark Whitman. I keep wanting to say Matthias Weber because the name Matthias, his middle name, is there. And we had a driver named Matthias Weber for a long time, and I keep wanting to say that. It's really hard for me to not say that. I apologize.
Yeah, very true.
Juha is still in 7th place, waiting for more attrition so he can get up into the points. Again, this is last year's Benetton. It is not the new one. The new one's going to come in probably around San Marino, I think.
Probably so. Sorry, cannot be more specific.
I wonder how much of it was the car's not ready or they just didn't want to bother putting it on the plane. They would rather have it close to home where they could work on it if they needed to. But in any case,
Well, having Nelson Piquet there in the team, I don't think it was for a lack of pressure from the driver.
And Mendez is looking really good. He's in 8th place in the Brabham Yamaha BT59Y. Y obviously for the power plant, but here's a car that probably would have done better in 1991 if it had a lighter power plant, because that Yamaha V12 is very heavy.
Yeah,
Probably creates
very nice sounding.
nice
I
sounding,
don't
but
think there is any critique on that, but quite heavy.
this is the year that it was both Mark Blundell and Martin Brundle in the same team.
Yep.
Roche continuing on 9th, and 10th is Nicholas Kirsten. So some good drivers from a few drivers here in cars that are probably not up to the challenge as much as others.
And Centoramen are signaling pits.
Okay.
Let's see. And very much as you rightfully pointed out, this is a wide track. There are many 4-lane streets here, which should theoretically help in overtaking and that. But the problem I'm seeing here for the people who get stuck behind lapped cars is that, unlike what we had in Formula 186, there is no magic knob for boost here. So
Yeah.
the power in the cars isn't so dissimilar. Therefore, once they are all accelerating in the straights, it's not as if you get so much of an advantage. I mean, you can go quicker over lap, catch up with the car in front, even the lap car, but it's not as if you're going to like rip the logos from him when you are flying by.
Okay,
No,
this-
it's something, yeah.
This ought to be interesting here, excuse me, because Janik is about to round the last corner, and Senrami's leaving the pit lane now. So,
Yeah, that was very quick.
Yeah,
Very
but-
quick pit stop. I don't think I've seen a quicker one.
well, Centorami beat him out. So now it'll be interesting to see with cold tires. You know, Janik has an opportunity here to strike at Centorami. He's definitely taking a shot here because he knows that he just came out of the pits and it's disorienting with cold tires. But I don't know. I think Centorami's pretty much.
No, after this hairpin is where he could be maybe trying to get a good run.
He's getting a good
But
purchase there.
No, the Dallara has got better engine, I think. Let's see how they thread the needle here. Oops. Yeah, maybe here. Let's see. This is the other.
No, they both
straight,
have the
but
same
no,
engine.
No.
They both have Judds.
Ah, okay.
So it's
Sorry,
not
I
a
was
engine
thinking of the other one.
difference. It's a chassis and driver difference.
Yeah, well, it looked right as they were very paired, so it doesn't surprise me.
Well, kudos to Brian for recovering from that. It appeared it was either a brake or a tire incident or both of just too much heat. And he managed to gather it up and keep going. Great showing for this old Lotus. Still hanging right with Centorami. This may not be over yet. They got a car in front. They have to lap. It's the lone. I believe it's the only. Yeah, it's the only footwork in the race. It's
Yep.
Plavich.
Coming to the hairpin, there should be plenty of room here to let both
Yeah.
drivers by.
Look at the different line that Janik is taking there. That's interesting.
Yeah, both are trying to get the most out of the corner when accelerating, but it must be very frustrating here.
Janik
It's
also
so easy to understeer into those tire walls.
yeah, it's easy for that to happen. Janik also did a bit of modeling for this mod, did he not?
I think so, yeah.
On this Lotus, I believe.
I think so. Yeah, he did something about the side ports.
He even
Perfect
posted a pic of the car in its green and yellow trim sans sponsors as sort of a reveal livery, the way that it would have appeared in '91 at the reveal press conference. After he had finished.
So now it seems very clear now that Centorami already has the warp tires and is like distancing him a bit.
It does not appear that Grant is making, it does not appear that Anders is making much of an impression on Grant. The gap is 13.9 seconds. I think it was 16 before, so he's whittling a little bit at it, but I'm fairly certain that Grant can put in a faster lap and put more time between them if he wants.
And Anders is very much aware of that, so he won't be taking stupid risks.
No, he's going to do the tactically superior thing and hope that Grant's engine blows up.
It's something interesting that we have to see what happens towards the end of the race, because I don't think, unlike the very temperamental turbo engines, I don't think that we will be seeing here early failures. We haven't seen any, although obviously there are many cars out of the race, so we don't know what would have happened to their engines. But in this case, I think we will have to be much more into the race to see who has been damaging it, hitting the red limiter.
Yeah, hitting the red limiter, maybe missing shifts. All those add up. So, well, while we have a moment here, why don't we do the trivia question?
Okay, go. You want to use with me again the failure button?
No, I just thinking of something to do because we got a lull here. So, the trivia question was, which of the following teams did not use Pirelli tires in 1991? A. Scuderia Italia, B. Motor Racing Developments, or C. LaRousse F1?
That's a wicked question. I have no idea.
I thought you'd think that. Something like that. That's a difficult one. Okay, time's up. What do you think?
Okay, I'm going to say C just because that's the last one that I heard.
And guess what, my friend? You are correct.
You go.
It's LaRousse F1. They ran good years. All right.
WAG never fails.
All right. Well, you've got your 1 for 1 now for the season.
Okay.
Barry Lynn said
let's
B.
try to go to the toilet next time you ask one, so I can keep a clean slate.
That's funny. All right, well, Grant continues to lead. The gap is still about the same, 14 seconds, hasn't changed. Second place is Anders Nilsson, third Centorami. So we've got Delara Judds running first and third, respectively. Fourth is Brian Janik, and yeah, you can see that Centorami pretty much doesn't appear that Brian can make much of an impression on him. So,
and very fittingly, there is right now in fifth position,
yep.
And it's interesting to see him there, especially with the Dalaras in front. But man, I mean, that incredibly lightning quick pit stop by Centorami, I think that's the thing that has propelled him to the third position right now, because Rai was incredibly delayed there by the pit crew.
It was a longer
very
stop.
very slow. Yes, I don't know what was going on there. Maybe they started to fix something in the car, and Rai had not disabled.
Oh, I see a Lotus rear wing on the track. And it's Brian Janik. Oh no! Brian has lost his rear wing.
Indeed.
Let's take a look at a replay. Where did this happen? But my goodness, here it comes. There it is. He hit the barrier. It looks like he just lost the back end.
And he nearly took out right there. Should be taking it.
Oh, that is so
carefully.
devastating. I'm sorry to see that. The Detroit
No,
Demon.
and let me tell you one thing. There is something more than the wing there. I'm pretty sure that there must be rear suspension bent because of the way that car is handling.
Well, he's gingerly trying to get it back.
I think that car is. A bit bent in the suspension. We will see, but.
Well, this promotes Mark Whitman to fifth place. and in Boss likely to 6th place as soon as Janik hits the pit lane. Boss is going to get the points that he has been hoping he would get. I mean, nobody wants one of your competitors to crash or have a problem, but I'm sure he's looking at the same numbers we are on the telemetry and going, aha, I'm in the points, or I will be soon.
Okay, there goes Brian. He's now in the pits. Let's see and let's hope, cross the fingers, because incredibly he's still in 6th position. I mean, it's going to be a long pit stop, but it wasn't like that terrible. Now he's 7th. He just lost the position.
Yeah.
So this is basically from now on the time
he may be able to make this work because Ricardo Mendes is still 30 seconds adrift in 8th place. So
but I mean, six is the last points paying position.
Yes.
He got just 7th. So whatever time it takes him to go out of the pits, that's the time that he needs to recover it back in the track in the laps that are remaining, which seems quite a daunting task.
Unless there's more attrition at the front that may help him. You don't know. That I was mainly pointing out Mendes being so far back as it gives him the time to fix that wing and not lose a track position, an extra one. But this is clearly a long time. Replacing a rear wing is not an easy thing to do.
No, not Mendes. Mendes is now on 3 wheels, just barely avoided him.
My goodness. Replay. Well, it was spelled out very clearly in the driver's briefing. If you have 3 wheels, you are out of the race. And I'm seeing... I'm seeing a replay.
He entered very quickly in the pits because it was right in front of the pits, but otherwise I was about to call him to abandon the race because, he's not going to get that suspension.
All right, this is a curious-looking accident here as we run it forward now. He was late on the brakes. He went into the escape road at the end of one of the long straights, backs up, and then he actually drives into the tire barrier. He didn't get enough bite on the front when he was trying to correct it, so now he's down to 3 wheels. So, unfortunately, out of the race. That's too bad.
And as you can see, the car got a new wing, got a new wheel, but there is no suspension there, so he's not going to get a new suspension. That's not part of the repairs that you can get.
Well, I think based on what Juha said in the driver's briefing, where they said if you have 3 tires, you're out of the race. He may be looking at a DSQ if he tries to keep going. I don't know. That's for Juha to determine. But in any case, that's really unfortunate for both Mendes and Janik. 2 drives that were looking really good, and just in both cases, just too close to the barriers. And look who's 7th now, actually, Luciano Rocha. So all is not lost for the Tifosi. He's in 7th. All he needs is one more calamity at the front, and he is going to be in the points. 6th place, Juha Boss now, driving the year-old Benetton. And 5th is, I think, the drive of the race so far, Mark Whitman. Driving, I think this is probably, if he can hold on, this will be his best finish that he's ever had at ISO.
And I can see also there is Gabriel Piccolo in the pits. And I don't know if that's repairs, but it's an incredibly long pit stop.
Then it's probably repairs.
Yeah.
Oh,
Grand Vidal also in the pits.
We got another car without we have another car without a wing. It appears to be Nicholas Kirsten. You can see him right on your screen there being overtaken by and that's really unfortunate because he was running in 8th place and now he's going to have to go to it's really interesting because some of these guys may not have gone for tires and now they're wishing they had. Because that might account for why Nicholas is far up the list with this car. He's lost both front and rear wings, so it's going to be a lengthy stay in the pits for him.
So Grant out of the pits now on fresh tires. That's lap 50, and it would surprise me very much if he doesn't do an extra pit stop.
Well, Nilsson is now the leader. As a result of that pit stop, Nilsson is in front.
Yeah, and here is the key. I mean, so far I think that Anders and Grant both have done 1 pit stop less than Grant. And the question is now, will Grant be doing another one? I mean, we know probably both Nilsson and Rai Ridal are going to stop again. But is Grant going to stop once more? That's the question.
I don't know. I mean, I wouldn't have expected either of these guys to pit again. But again, it depends on what compound they chose. Oh, there's another wheel floating without a car attached to it. So we're reaching a point here where there's high attrition all of a sudden. Cars hitting the wall, people out of sorts. Are we reaching a point perhaps where mental fatigue is setting in?
Yeah, it could be.
Because we've had a rash of accidents in like a very short period of time here. I don't know who that tire belonged to, but whoever it is, they're out of the race.
Yeah, but this is the moment for example, Gabriele Del Piccolo just came out of the pits, and he's in 14th position right now, at least nominally. But this is a situation where you can actually look at the grid and say, hey, maybe if I just finish the race, who knows what will happen, because there are now, I think, 9 cars alive? 8. Actually, no, okay, there are more. But they are with lost laps and all that.
Well, Nicholas Kirsten is officially out of the race. Technically, he could have continued. It just would have taken a long time to replace the front and rear wing, but he decided he didn't want to do that. So he's out of the race, most definitely. And that promotes, we got Rocha in 7th. John Team is in 8th.
Gabriele Del Piccolo is smoking, so there are indeed engine failures possible.
Oh, my goodness. Well, Grant Riddall is now stuck behind, he gets behind, out from behind the footwork Porsche of Hlavic. So it'll be interesting to watch this gap to see if he can close on the leader. The gap right now is 11 seconds from first to second.
I'm not sure what Del Piccolo is doing, because okay, he's going to the escape road.
Yeah, there he is.
Because the engine is 0 RPM and
New Pope.
Yep.
Well, too bad. That's an interesting car combination, though. Del Piccolo and AGS. I wouldn't be surprised if they have better races down the line.
Yeah, they sure do. So Anders now on top of the race, and it's interesting how the fortunes have been changing over the race. I mean, at the beginning, Grant seemed absolutely untouchable, but then he dove into the pits, and we saw Ray Riddle and thought, oh, well, there you go. There's the Williams there, the superior car. Now Ray is in 4th, and it's Anders Nilsson who seems to be quite in a nice position, but Grant is coming quick from behind, so I don't think it will be for long that he is running so happily, merrily, without any trouble.
Well, he's down to about 10 seconds now, so we'll see if he can hunt down Anders here. Anders on older tires.
Yeah, exactly. So it's a 9 seconds gap, and for information, for example, last lap by Anders was 1:27.6. In the case of Grant, it was actually 1:28.2, and I think that was the exit lap on cold tires. And let me see what he makes now that he's coming.
Yeah.
And it's 1:27.1. Okay, it's not a huge difference, but yeah, he's like 0.6 of a second. No, not even that. Half a second, let's say, quicker. So that would take him like 20 laps.
Interesting.
To Anders. Yeah, but Anders, I think he will be stopping again.
Possibly, yeah. My guess is he would be too. Let's, while we have a moment, remind you of what's coming up soon here at ISO. First, next week we have the second round out of 13 of our 1996 British Touring Car Championship, the Ford Credit Trophy meeting. This is at Brands Hatch, the Indy circuit. Sunday, February 11th. First race is at 2000 CET. Not going to be broadcast by us. Maybe there'll be a stream from someone's cockpit, like perhaps Dave Miller. But in any case, if you want to take part in that, if there are any cars left, definitely pick them up. And then we come back to this series on February 18th, the Brazilian Grand Prix, second round out of 16. Green light at 2000 CET. Broadcast starts at 1945. So the gap now is 9 seconds. So yes, Grant is closing bit by bit by bit. So the question on everyone's mind is going to be, is Anders going to stop again? If he does, he's basically conceding the race to Grant, but we'll see what happens.
Well, it's 22 laps, and I think that Anders has stopped once already, so it's likely to stop again. Question is when, but yeah, and again, and is Grant going to be able to make all the rest of the laps till the end? He hasn't done such a long stint so far in the race, although he previously did them with much heavier fuel load.
Mm-hmm. Centurami in a very solid third place, meaning there's miles of room in front of him, miles of room behind him. And Ray soldiering on in fourth place. Fifth, again, a fantastic result possibly coming up for Mark Whitman in his Minardi, and Juha sixth in the Benetton. That's the top six. Top six scores points, assuming that you make 90% of the race distance, which in some cases may not happen during the year. I don't know if that's going to be the case here. So track position and pace are very important in this series.
And another one who obviously is probably not the happiest man in the world, but so far has been at least able to save the day, is Juha Bosch, because he's in sixth position. That's 1 point. And with the old Benetton, if he's able to survive the walls in this track and go back home with his point, then I think he will be over the moon.
Yep.
It's about to be lapped by Anders Nilsson right now. So that's at least one less lap of misery that you have to do.
Yeah, I'm fairly certain that most drivers would not list Phoenix as their favorite track. Certainly not in this series. But it's the same for everybody. Same challenge, so just get on with the program as best you can. I'm pretty sure they like this track better than Detroit.
Yeah, and then the Phoenix International Raceway.
Well, that's an entirely different thing.
It's one of the things that I've read in a book that got me laughing more, because that was I was reading Nigel Bennett's book, his biography, and when he went IndyCar racing, he was a British gentleman, and he was so surprised at the Phoenix International Raceway, because he said we were doing pre-season testing there or something like that, and it was like, international? I mean, this is an international raceway? Because there's only cactus and rattlesnakes around.
That's just
it
him.
Was like,
that, you know, that sounds like Nigel Bennett. That's just him being smug. I've never really liked Nigel Bennett, because every interview I've seen with him, he seems to be just has this air of arrogance about him that I don't like.
Yeah, he does, but I think you got the point in that when you go there to Phoenix, I mean, I love those tracks, especially short tracks and all that, but yeah, I mean, it's a bit like, Phoenix International Raceway, and you look at it and it's like, what?
Well, in any case...
But yeah, it's international. Anyone can come from anywhere and race here. So.
Speaking of IndyCar racing, I just finished a book about Al Unser Jr. It's basically his biography, entitled Al Unser Jr., A Checkered Past. And it was an excellent book.
Wait, what's
Grant's
going
out
on?
of the race! Grant's out of the race!
Yeah, exactly.
What happened there? Great.
So you see, we just start talking about something else. And
boom! Boom, then something happens.
That's our black magic to make the action happen.
Oh, don't say that. Don't say that, because you're going to get everybody riled up in the YouTube chat.
Oh, they will be doing that anyway.
Yeah, true. Yeah,
So-
what happened to Grant? Well, it happened a while ago. The car... Okay, hang on a second. I might be getting close to the incident here.
It says did not finish, so it's not the engine.
No, it's not the engine, so it must have been contact of some kind. I'm going to let it roll back a little bit more here, see if we can finally figure out what happened. But it must have been something very sudden. Well, we talked about it. He's a guy who's either leading or out of the race. So there you go.
And that means that is right now Luciano Rocha has put the Ferrari in the points paying position.
Well, he's going to be
There
very
goes
happy
that.
about that.
Yeah, if things end like this, I'm not going to repeat that.
Marilyn wants to know how many times we raced the F1 raced the circuit. The answer is 3 times. 89, 90, 91. So Juha's now up to 5th place. Whitman is 4th. And Ray Radal is now 3rd. So that advances everybody. Centrami is 2nd. So now it's fallen on his shoulders to catch Nilsson. But Nilsson is 33 seconds in front. So, and we got 20 laps to go. So,
Yeah, and if I remember correctly, both Nilsson and Santorami were on more or less a very similar pit strategy. So
Yeah.
I don't think we will be seeing any dramatic turnaround, at least not from the strategy point of view.
but anyway, going back to that book I was mentioning, it is a very good read. And as the title might suggest to you, Alonso Jr. puts everything on the table. The good, the bad, and frankly, the ugly. He tells all, just everything. It is a tell-all autobiography. And it was told to the same author who did the Beast book about the Mercedes power plant that took advantage
The
of.
Mercedosaurus Rex.
Yes, the Mercedes, yeah, the Rex, yeah. But I was just amazed at the detail that Little Al went into about his life, about what happened to him, and I think he deserves plaudits for having the guts to put all that on paper. And the book ends happily. He kicks his substance abuse and alcohol problems, and he lives in Indianapolis now, I believe, around surrounded with good people, and he's been doing work with the Vintage Indie Group. So, you know, it's great that it took him a long while to get there, but he finally found the end of that long tunnel. And I for one, I was thrilled when I got to the end. I'm so happy that's the end of the book, because there are some very dark parts throughout.
Yeah, I can imagine. So Mark Whitman just came out of the pit with fresh tires. He's in 5th position.
He only lost 1 spot on the track, so he's good probably to go to the end now. And let's see, is he close to Boss?
He's around 8 seconds from Juha, but Juha hasn't pit recently, so that could mean trouble for Juha down the race, because remember, we're still 20 laps from the finish. This isn't over by any means. By any stretch. So Anders is comfortably in the lead now, and that's the situation when you start wondering, don't jinx it. Yeah, very, very conservative gear changing by Anders. I can see that.
Mm-hmm.
He's hitting like 11,500 RPM, so not using the full RPM range. Very steady driving there.
Well, it's interesting. Now we only have 3 cars on the lead lap. Juha just got overtaken by Nilsson, so he is a lap down now. The only cars on the lead lap are Nilsson, Centorami, and Radal. Ray Radal. Which I was expecting would eventually happen. Here he is, Nilsson about to overtake the lone Ferrari in the race, and Rocha makes plenty of room for him. Good job. Rocha is in 6th place, carrying the hopes of the Tifosi.
Yeah, and he has been so far spared 2 laps of misery, so he can probably not complain. If he gets the point home, there will be better places to fight it out.
Yeah. Well, Juha, I'm sure, is feeling pretty good right now, because he's in a situation where, oh, goodness, oh! He almost lost the back end of the car and lets Rocha back by. That was very close to the kind of accident that, the incident that Coxon had that took him out of the race. But fortunately, there was no one immediately behind Juha. in that instance. Let's take a look at a replay of that. He comes
Yeah, it
off the
looks to
corner.
me
Yeah, he just
like worn tires, probably.
yeah.
Because he had no pressure. He's not really like trying to go especially any quicker now. So
Well, Mark Whitman is basically 4 seconds behind him. So
that's right.
the question now is, can Whitman close on Boss and make it a 4th place?
Yeah, well, he's 4 seconds now after that spin. I think
Yeah.
that the gap was 8 before that, but well, that's in this case his own making for Juha.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, if he was wanting to speed up, but we've talked many times about this. Really, many of the fights between drivers are not close quarters. Many of these fights are actually happening in the distance.
Yeah, long
when
ways.
you are seeing what, yeah, exactly. When you are seeing what the other guy does, and you are trying to respond, and just sending a message always like, "Hey, look, I'm there, I'm here." Just so start pushing the car, or you will get trouble with me. The other guy starts pushing the car, and then the Arabs come, and the trouble happens. So
Yeah. Well, that was a close call for Juha. He was able to keep the car off the wall, and Whitman has closed, but not to a point where he can overtake or make an attempt. So he was lucky he
has found the lap car in probably not the best place possible. Rocha makes it very good, but still there was a bit of a lost time there. But he has Juha in sight there at the end of the straight, so
True.
that's the blood in the water.
When you see that other car, it does spur you on, doesn't it? And Rocha's actually not too far back either. Rocha's like right there with Whitman, so it's not simply a matter of Whitman closing on Boss. He's got Rocha to worry about as well. These three are actually, this is the closest racing situation on the track right now, I think. Yellow flag briefly there. Oh, it's Rocha.
Well,
Rocha who caused the yellow flag. He spun.
Oh,
So, yes, tires, worn tires. He spins the car, stops it just before the barrier, thankfully. Waits. Oh, he does a good job of waiting for Chacon to go by, and then he gets the car going again. So that could have been far, far worse for Rocha. But a good recovery, gets back going again, and he's still in 6th place. So let his heartbeat get back to normal, and hopefully he'll won't have another incident like that.
yeah, and I'm looking at Juha's driving from the cockpit, and he's certainly not saving any RPMs.
Okay.
He's really pushing the engine. I don't like what I'm seeing, but maybe it's the RPM counter. No, I think you can see the red light flashing before the gear change, and he's definitely very aware that he has Whitman right on his tail. I think that's 2.2 seconds the gap now.
Oh, you can see the red light there. You're right. There's a little red light that indicates where he should shift.
Yeah, but the problem is that in these cars, that red light is already lighting once you are already past when you should have shifted.
It should be a little less.
It should be a little less. So we will see, because if you look at the needle, it's going up to nearly 13,000 RPM many times, and that's probably stretching it a bit too much. But we'll see.
Well, we're only going to find out at the end of the race.
Yep. Yeah, he definitely has Whitman very close behind. There's no wonder that he's feeling like.
Oh, you can see him now. If you look out the back, he's there. He's closing, and the gap is now 1.5 seconds. It was 4 seconds before. Those tires, those Pirellis on that car must be getting very, very worn.
Yeah, well, Whitman, we have seen that he did a pit stop not long ago, whereas in the case of Juha, I can't remember when he did his last stop, but it must have been quite a long time ago. So there is a very different tire situation for both of them here.
Whitman is closing hand over fist right now.
Yeah. Yeah, and that's not the engine difference. It's that, like,
Tires.
really the tires are in much better state. in the case of
So
Whitman.
I don't think Juha is going to be able to hold him off here, but we'll see what happens.
No, because I also think that the Ferrari engine is superior
Yes.
to the Cosworth in the Benetton. So
It has a lot more grunt.
yeah.
And
It's
on a
not
track
as
like-
if Juha is going to be able to defend himself by just speeding up in the straights and blocking the corners. There you go. This is the exact place. Let's see. Oh well, he seems to be holding well on his own.
I think.
But I guess probably stretching the engine a lot.
Oh, very close to contact there, but
Yeah.
Whitman basically is doing the technically smart thing. He's not making any desperate lunges. He's not making any sudden moves. He knows he's got Juha right where he wants him. It's just a matter of the right opportunity as they're... Well, no, he doesn't quite go by. He's on the outside. There he is.
Yeah.
Is he gonna get- yeah, he's got
I mean,
it.
it became very obvious to him that he had way superior tires,
Oh, wait a
and
minute.
that in the there goes Juha. Well,
Juha is not
that's
going to take this lying down. He's got the superior line. He's going to get the position
Long
back,
wings.
maybe.
Long wings.
Oh, look at Whitman. He sweeps around the outside and retains fourth place. Wow. That was a very, very confident move by Whitman there. Let's take a
Well,
look.
he knows he has much better tire situation than Juha. That's why he could afford to do that.
Yeah.
And I think he himself was a bit surprised that in the main straight he wasn't quicker than the Benetton. But knowing that the difference in tires was so telling, he obviously just went around the outside. I mean, don't get me wrong, it was very skilled of him. It was a very, very good move, and he absolutely mastered it, doing what his car was the best at for the moment. So, but yeah, it was absolutely the move he had to do. Oh, Juha again.
Yeah, Juha's going again. He's looking at him. He's
I'm
not
looking for Whitman's cockpit, and you can easily see how Juha's brakes are glowing like a traffic light.
He's with him again. I mean, this is not over. U.S. closing definitely on the straight here. Yeah, he's going to go for it. He's going to go for it. Down the inside, Juha has taken fourth place again, and this time Whitman has to fall into line. But he's coming up on the outside here. Can he make the pass stick on the outside? Yes, he can. And he didn't touch the wall. Excellent. Excellent driving from these two, right on the ragged edge, and being very respectful of each other, too, I might add. That's the second time we've seen an overtake on the outside of that turn in this race. It's really spectacular stuff. All right, so there are going to be 12 laps to go after the completion of the next lap. And now we start to think about, okay, who has... Oh, look at this. Here's Juha again. He's coming down. He's going to take the position again at the end of this straight. This is fantastic stuff. But Whitman is able to keep the inside line for the next corner. These guys are really... Oh, no! Juha spins out! Well, I think that's tire wear just giving up there. I think he just basically pushed it to the point of no return. Now he has to try to get the car turned around straight without involving anyone else, and he does a great job of getting back underway. He didn't compound the situation. He didn't make any additional errors. And now, oh my goodness, I think his brakes probably are glowing right now, but he's trying to get the car back going at speed. But that was just simply a situation, I think, where the car was overextended. What do you think, Alberto?
Ah, well, he's already into the pits, so I think that confirms pretty quickly what was going on here.
Yeah.
I mean, he's going for the new
Yes.
tires.
Yeah, new
And
tires.
probably, maybe also at some point overheat the brakes. But yeah, I mean, 99% tires.
Yeah. And Rocha is, and the other reason why he would do it, Rocha is a minute 24 seconds in arrears. So there was really nothing to be lost by doing that.
And I think that right now is a moment where Juha is like blaming himself, hitting the head against the wall, thinking, well, if I had to pit for tires in the end, why did I have to engage in a fight?
Because he's a
but-
racer. And
But it's like, I mean, well, probably also because he didn't know what the situation was for the tires of Whitman. But yeah, after that pass on the outside, probably it became clear.
And now he's like a full 44 seconds behind Whitman, so there goes any chance of challenging him before the race is over, unless something happens to Whitman. Ray's still going.
One could say that he has held up Whitman a bit compared with the situation where he would have gone into the pits directly and just tried to catch up with Whitman after that. He has held up Whitman and forced him to overdrive the car and the tires and that. So that could be maybe the explanation. But in the end, I mean, this is a very fine line to walk, because in the end, look what happened. I mean, you end up with a spin.
Well, Anders continues. He's 30 seconds in front of Centorami.
Oh, and one thing I should add, because it was posted in the forum by Grant, is that he had computer problems, intermittent stutters.
Oh,
That became worse, and yeah, that's what actually in the end
caused the
caused
accident.
his retirement.
Well, that's too
Very
bad.
unfortunate.
Well, maybe next time you should.
Up! Whitman's engine has
Oh
expired.
no! Oh, what a. That's very disappointing for Mark Whitman. He had driven a brilliant race all day long.
Yeah.
And there goes the Ferrari, up in smoke. Oh,
It's a shame. 11 laps from the end.
Yeah, that's really tough luck. Sorry to see that.
And I can picture now you have smile that won't fit under. the
Oh
helmet.
yes, yeah, I hadn't thought about that. You're right, because he's going to be approaching him with dispatch, and that will put him back into fourth place, especially after that spin he had. It's a little bit of good luck he's experiencing there, but Whitman has parked the car on the course. He has not hit escape yet. Probably still trying to absorb what's happened.
Yeah,
Anytime you're
fourth.
anytime from fourth, anytime you're out of the race, there goes Yuha by. Anytime you're out of the race, it's not fun. But after the kind of race he's had, frankly, one of the best he's run at ISO, to have it end like this, it's really disappointing.
Yeah, because it was not just that he showed that he could be quick and like drive these cars and that, but that he could have very fair, clean, and nice scraps with another car on the limit. So that's some driving.
He says that his engine temp was below 103, so he's curious. But I think the operative term, or the operative thing you have to watch for these cars is oil temp, right?
Oil temp, and also not hit the RPM limiter too much. If you're seeing, like we said, the shift light, it's probably already a bit too late, or at least that's what I think Wilkes explained.
All right, well, we're getting down to the final stages here of the United States Grand Prix, first race of our 1991 F1 Series. Hope everyone's enjoying the action. We got 21 viewers on YouTube right now, so good audience. And thank you also to Alberto for doing the play-by-play, or sorry, the color. You're always so good with your analysis and everything. Which is exactly what you need in a good color announcer.
Yeah, cheers. It's always so fun to be
Yeah.
here watching the races with you.
So Anders just has to basically bring the thing home. Hopefully he's driving within himself. The thing, he's 28 seconds now in front, so it appears he's taken it off the boil and is trying to conserve the car. Centorami's driven a great race, considering the fact that he had an awful start and went all the way down to 9th place at one point, but he clawed his way all the way back to second. Not only him, but also attrition contributing, but a great drive from him, and it shows the potential of this car. So in the right hands. So yeah, even though Grant had his issues today, I'm sure he's going to turn down his graphics and go for it again at the next race in Brazil.
Mm-hmm.
And Ray, if he can put up a third place with the Williams. I think it's a great opening for the year for him. Oh, and also with this attrition, look who's in 6th. John Team, driving Ivan Capelli's Leighton House.
Yep, nice.
Yeah, 35 seconds behind Rocha, but no matter. And Janik, actually, after all his drama, is going to end up rising into 8th place in the Lotus.
But it's actually 7th, I think, because he still needs to go
7th,
past the
yes.
position. Well,
Yes, Janik is now
he's
7th.
one engine problem away from getting a point. But
basically, yeah. But yeah, it's been an eventful race for Janik. If you weren't watching earlier, he clouded one of the walls, and he had some kind of a brake issue at one point that made him slow down and lose a lot of places. But it's been a very eventful race for them. But also, it has displayed that this combination of car and driver could be good for the year. We'll see what happens.
yeah, although, as we've already repeated many times, this is a street track. So
I know. It's hard. You can't really. You got to take everything with a grain of salt in a race like this, because it's kind of it equalizes people, and it's
yeah. When you see the quick cars here, like McLaren, Ferrari, Williams, and that, I mean, if they do well here, they will obviously be doing well in all the tracks over the season. But it's the other cars that are a bit of the unknown. Some cars that do well here is like, maybe it's a single shot, maybe not. We will see.
Well, in the case of Team, I think it's a case of the cream rising to the top. He's a good driver. This car is actually not that bad. It's a pretty decent car. So, it's the Ilmore engine in this Leighton House. So it's got a sharp power plant, and it's an Adrian Newey car. So not that it's a contender in the right hands, I think. And Rocha, I'm sure, is thrilled with his 5th place he's got now. Hopefully he hasn't extended that car too far.
And Ray in the end might be getting that podium, which is an absolutely brilliant finish for him. So, especially in this track, because we've talked about that many times, and the seasons, the whole season, the championships, they are not won in the tracks that everybody expects you to shine and all that.
Yeah.
Championships are won in tracks like this, when you score here, when you do well here. It's not that you go, I don't know, to the Hockenheim or Silverstone in front of the crowd and do well there. Yeah, fine. I mean, you must get the points there too. But it's these tracks here that are more unknown and in a remote location, and it's like, it's the start of the season and that. But scoring in all these tracks is what matters.
As you can see in the top left there, we're coming up on the 2-hour mark, and we don't have a method by which we can stop a race if it reaches 2 hours before the lap count. We're going to do the lap count regardless. But a race like this definitely stretches the 2-hour limit.
Yeah, but the 2-hour limit we're going to count who is where.
Oh, Nilsson is about to overtake Team now and put him a lap down. There he goes. So, that was actually 2 laps for a Team. So Nilsson has got only a few laps remaining here. The Jordan historically didn't win a race, but of all the second, if you pick the top cars, I think the Jordan established itself as being like the lead of the second tier fairly quickly in the series.
Yeah, Jordan and Dallara, they were good cars. Yes.
Yeah.
So let's see. We got 9 cars still racing. I think in the real race, if I'm not mistaken, it was only 12 that finished the races, so we're not that far off.
Well, Nilsson is slicing through these corners with real authority. And he's coming up now to Chacon to put another lap on him. Chacon makes some room. Well, he was going to, but now he's going to make room. Oh, whoa, shoot. That might have surprised Nilsson a little bit, but Chacon gets out of the way.
Yeah, he went to the proper place. It was just a bit of a misunderstanding. Probably Nilsson wanted to speed up so as to dive quicker into the corner. But yeah, I mean, no need with the advantage that he has. No need to really risk it. There he goes another lap for him. That's 79 laps covered, I think.
We're starting lap 79 now.
Starting 79, okay.
So we got 79, 80, 81, 8. So 4 laps to go at this point. And Centorami continuing on now. He's on the front straightaway. He is, the gap has been dropping precipitously. He's now 24 seconds behind. Before it was like 30 seconds. So clearly Nilsson is not driving that car at the limit. And the gap.
And it must be right now a bit of an odd situation when you are driving in this street circuit. It is rather small and crowded and all that, and you feel like you are alone by yourself because there is only 9 cars on the track right now, and they are quite spaced.
Yeah, if you go back and look at that start, cars were spread 4 or 5 wide coming down the main straight to the first turn.
Yeah, because on the normal conventional road circuits, you can basically like look into the distance and there, you know, over the corner and see other cars and that. But here, even if there is another car close, it's hidden by the wall. So.
Yep. Yeah, and I was mentioning too, in some cases, it's hidden by more than the wall. Some of these advertisements are like double the height of the wall. So you really can't see anything. The Ferrari that Rocha is driving is going to be replaced mid-season by a new car at the French Grand Prix, I believe. So he's stuck with the 1990 development car until that point, which is about mid-season.
Mm-hmm.
All right, so Nilsson is now on lap 80, so 3 to go. And it's an interesting anecdote about this car that was shared with us. It was originally designed to run with a Judd engine, but then they suddenly got access to Ford HB engines, and so they had to change the cowling on the car so it fits. And you can see these little bumps that are behind the airbox on either side. Those were put in there at the last minute to accommodate the Ford HB V8 because it wouldn't have fit. The car was originally designed to fit a Judd.
Yeah, it's always a bad thing when you have to do such changes in the end.
Well, you get the feeling that happens.
After the development.
You get the feeling that happens a lot in race car design, especially when you have a bubble on the right-hand side of the nose of the car, which is obviously for the driver to work the gear shift. Yeah. So if they didn't have to put that there, I'm sure they would have found a way to not have it there.
Whoops. What's up with Luciano Rocha? That Ferrari is...
Oh, no!
No, it's working, but I think he missed the braking point.
Okay, he didn't lose any parts either. He didn't lose any parts, so he's now on his way. Hopefully, the car is not damaged in terms of suspension. Let's take a look at a replay of what happened here. Running it back a little bit here. Okay, here's the replay. What happened? It looks as if he actually, it looks as if he might have run into the wall on the right-hand side, or unless that's a ping issue.
No, it could be.
It could be, but in any case, he got it running again. Good poise. That could have turned out far worse. Uh-oh, it looks like, speaking of which, it looks like that was Janik glancing off the wall briefly. Let's see. On board with Janik. Coming off this turn here. Oh, yes, he glanced both the inside and outside wall there.
Yes, so as to compensate that the car is not bent from one side.
True, yeah, he did that on purpose. All right, so Anders is now in his final lap. And what a great performance it's been. He didn't get involved in too much craziness. He kept his nose clean. And in the end, Grant succumbed to hardware problems that were not related to the race itself. And, or software, I guess you could say. And now Nilsson is going to cruise home to the first F1 victory of this series.
And Ray Ridal skillfully saw him coming, slowed down dramatically, and allowed him by. Very sportman, but also he spared himself a lap, I think.
Yes, he did.
Because he got lapped. So very wise move, because why risk it with another lap when you can just easily let the leader pass?
All right, so a few more turns now for Anders, and he'll have notched 10 points and a win for a car that never won in real life, but given the right circumstances, it might have. As he comes off the final 3-point hairpin turn onto the main straightaway, and there it is. Anders Nilsson wins the United States Grand Prix. A fantastic performance, and that is Ray Ridal is going to finish in third behind him there. We're waiting for Centorami to come around. Here he comes now, second place. Great drive by Centorami.
Yeah, the only car that hasn't been lapped, actually.
Yeah. Third for Ridal. And here comes Juha, who's going to hopefully finish fourth. And actually, Rosas right behind him. This is a lot closer than we might have thought.
Yep. Although maybe with one lap down.
I think Juha just was driving slower, actually. Or actually, yes, there is. No, you're right. There is a lap between them. You're right. You're right. There is a lap, so they're not actually in contest.
Whatever the case, I don't think that even in the wildest dreams, Juha thought that he was coming fourth in this race,
Yeah.
especially at the beginning.
Well, there comes Juha off the final corner, and he'll take that fourth place for Benetton. Great drive, and Rocha will take the checkered flag at the same time. He's finishing fifth, a lap behind, and great drive by him. Also taking the flag there is Janik, who's in sixth place behind the
Seventh actually. It's John Team.
You're right. John Team is sixth.
getting
My
the final
apologies.
point,
John Team is sixth. Seventh will be Janik. He's taken the flag already. So Team is yet to cross the line, but a great drive by him in the Leighton House Ilmore. He's actually pushing the car pretty hard, surprisingly.
Yeah, and always disappointing for Brian Janik. I mean, to be so close to getting a point but not getting it. But it's an incredible fit dragging that Lotus after this struggle in this incredibly complicated street circuit to the seventh place. So
Well, Bruno had a pretty decent race with all the attrition. He's eighth, finishing this race.
well, steady Bruno. I mean, we
Yeah,
know
and
already that he's usually there at the end.
And ninth for Hlavich, 10th for Whitman. He's out of the race. 11th, Grant Ridal. 12th, Mendez. 13th, Kirsten. 14th, Del Piccolo. 15th, Tim Hilla. 16th, Fernando Portiero. 17th, Oscar Team. 18th, Amaral. 19th, David Saber. 20th, Richard Coxon. 21st, Jules Bouchard. 22nd, Moises Pereira. 23rd, Jonathan Asselklint. 24th, Alan Santo. 25th, Luke Rosella. And the last car, one of the first out of the race, Rob DeVries in the Modena. All right. So that was the USGP. Thoughts?
Thoughts? That's quite interesting because we have repeated all over the race that this isn't really that telling. But some thoughts, some conclusions we can always draw. First of all, Grant Riddle, if he doesn't get the PC problems, he might be, well, probably one of the top favorites because he has the driving and the car seems to be good enough to contest. If
Definitely.
not, then Rai Riddle is obviously going to be one of the main contenders. The third conclusion that I have is it's a shame that we cannot gauge pretty well how the second level, so to speak, cars are now, because yeah, Anders is a great driver. He won the race, but we have seen what happened here with the opposition and that. So Coxon isn't here. Anders has done a very good race, but with not the opposition he could have had, like Saber in the Ferrari and that. So I think we need still more races, and Interlagos will be probably the most telling of how things are going to go over the season. Wilkes wasn't here. Like I said, Coxon crashed early. Let's see. But so far, I stand by my opinion that favorites for this season so far shape up to be the Riddles.
I would say that that's a very smart assessment given what's going on here. Your point is well taken about these tracks seemingly are one-offs at times, so we'll have to see what happens. But a very fun race, full of exciting moments and some very great drives. Thank you very much, Alberto, for calling the race with me. It's always a great deal of fun. You bring so much to the table. And thank you to all of our drivers, and congratulations to the finishers of the USGP. Thank you also to all of you at home watching. No one is in the green room, so I guess we'll just close out the broadcast. Remember, next week we have the next race of our 1996 British Touring Car Championship, the Ford Credit Trophy meeting. I wonder if that gives you more credit on your credit card if you win. And the Brazilian...
AKA the Understeer Challenge.
Yes, yes. And Brazilian Grand Prix will be on February 18th, second round. So thank you, everyone, for watching. For Alberto Ibañez, this is Jason White saying so long from Phoenix. We'll see you in 2 weeks in Brazil. Bye, everybody.